So a lot of us have these big audacious goals, these numbers we throw up on a board in January every year. Okay, take that number and simplify. Simplify. Don't overwhelm yourself.
21 million in door knocking. I hope everybody heard that part, right? Don't think he's just riding around talking on his phone. He's actually doing the work and doing the things that we all talk about, you know?
Welcome back to the Reside Platform Podcasts. Really excited because we have a special guest, Brian Danney, an agent on the Bear Home team. And this is really cool perspective that everyone's going to want to listen to this because this guy sells lots of units. I mean, 174 units in the last 24 months. I mean, get out of town. In July alone, $24 million in volume. You're going to want to pay attention because we're going to be talking about talk tracks versus scripts. We're going to be talking about how do you produce at such a high level, all these things. And of course, we got Preston Guyton of Reside joining us. What's up, Preston?
So, man, how are you? Super excited about this one.
We are. Yes.
21 million or 24 million?
21 million. 21 million.
21 million in 1 month.
Yeah, 21 million. That's crazy. You should just say 23, man. 23 is a great number.
Yeah, round up.
Round up.
Also, we were talking before you jumped on, Preston, mountaineer.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. I mean, literally climbing mountains and what that does for you personally, professionally. So, Brian, kind of give us a little background for the people that haven't met you before, haven't trained with you before, because this guy's also a coach. He also is hired by the top team in Remax in the world to train their agents. Give us a background.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
It's been an interesting whirlwind. I love music. Just put it out there. I love music. So when I got out of college, I got into PR. I love music. I found a band. I'm like, I'm gonna start producing some bands and producing some tours. And shortly after I did that, I realized I couldn't make any money doing it. There's just no money. So then I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And I stumbled upon commercial real estate. And the reason why I said commercial real estate, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do this, is because I thought it's more professional. It's more professional residential at the time. I don't work weekends. I can just go Monday through Friday. I'll show up with a briefcase. It's more of the way to do things. And I aligned myself with some mentors that were good and some mentors that were good for the wrong reasons because they showed me not how to lead. Make a long story short, I ended up in a situation I put myself in with a company, and I predominantly was doing a lot of leasing at the time. This is going back about 16 years or so, and 15 years. And I was working with a company that ended up going bankrupt. And I had about 6 figures of commission coming my way that I worked hard for. And the way it works in commercial is I don't get compensated up front. You get compensated, all at once. I get compensated a small amount at the beginning, and then they go through their tenant improvements. And then when they take occupancy, that could be 6 months later. Then you get paid the second half. Nonetheless, I lost 6 figures. I'm in a situation where I'm bankrupt. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. One of the mentors I had earlier on in my career started working for the city of San Diego. He said, Brian, I got you lined up, go do this. And I'm like, I really love real estate. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I felt like if I go there, then I'm selling out. So, sky's not the limits. And then, I was deciding what I wanted to do. And I ran into an old friend of mine no joke. I remember the day. I was at a farmer's market. And I saw him at a distance. First, I was making fun of him because he's riding a bicycle and he had a loaf of bread in his basket and he was loading up his basket and stuff. And then he got close to him, oh my God, that's Dan. And then I'm like, Dan, what's going on? We had lost touch. So Dan and I both went to college together at Syracuse. We were good friends freshman year. We both moved out to California, back to California, and we lost touch a little bit. And it was nice we were reconnecting. And I said, Brian, I'm redoing this team thing. I want you to be part of it. Don't forget commercial. Come do this. Don't go work for the city. And I remember everybody was saying, don't do this. Don't go work and try it again. Get the safe bet. Go work for the city. I remember this. And I just, something felt different. And sometimes you just got to trust your gut. And fast forward almost a decade, we've been together and we've grown from, I don't know, at the time it was two of us to now, I don't know how many people, 84, 87 people on our team. And I mean, my life's changed forever because of that decision I made. And just that's how I ended up here. So I'm still an active agent. I'm still selling. I'm still in the grind. Before we jumped on here, it's prospecting. Like I'm still doing all that stuff. And that hasn't changed. So that's what's also really propelled me into understanding that doing the same thing over and over and over again is okay.
Yeah. So where'd you go to college at?
I went to Syracuse.
Did you go there?
It was awesome. Yeah, I went to Cuse. I saw Mello. It was super.
My wife is from Oswego.
No way.
Yeah,
Good friend.
I was like, well, how did you end up in Syracuse?
From California, from San Diego?
Yeah, so if you really want to go back, so I grew up in the Valley in LA until I was about 15 years old, and then I had a culture shock. My dad is a dentist, still active. Actually lives here in San Diego now. My whole family are relocated here, but he's like, you know what? I'm sick of LA. We're gonna go to Maine. He like picked the place furthest from LA to move, so we moved to Maine, and that's how I ended up. Funny enough, I was following a girlfriend out to Syracuse. I played hockey there, so that kind of pulled me into. I played hockey my whole life, so that's how I ended up there. And then it said no more snow. I had to go back to California.
Yeah, the first time I went there was in December when I was going up to meet my wife's parents. And the doors and I'm from the South, obviously you could tell. The doors of the airport opened up, and it was like, I don't know, it was freaking cold. It was like 20 below, whatever it was. I'm like, I'm not even getting out. But anyway, I was like, well, how did you end up at Syracuse?
Yeah, it was a combination of hockey, the communication school, following an ex-girlfriend, all that stuff. So that's
cool. All right.
Well, how about the early journey of the team formation? Do you have any recollection of maybe some inflection points or some moments where challenges in that early team? And because you were part of it, and now it's easy to look at the success now and say, okay, I can see why you were successful. But what was it like early on?
So that's a really good question. No, I mean, completely different. I mean, the culture was being designed at that point, right? And we had people that were fits and that weren't. There were obvious that weren't fits, and possibly everyone that goes through this, people that were possibly toxic to the culture, and we're redefining who we were, and we did. And yes, I mean, it's never been peachy the entire way. I mean, it's been a long journey, and not many people can say that they work with their best friend, and Dan is, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that and put business in this category and that friendship over here, which is something I learned too. Because when I did that music thing, it didn't work out that way. I was actually doing it with a friend, another friend. There have been moments where I'm just like, what am I doing here? I'm not seeing eye to eye. In fact, we had, there's one in particular, one moment, this happened about 5-6 years ago. We had a sales manager come in, and it wasn't who we have today, who is phenomenal. It wasn't Isaac. It was a different person. And he felt that he needed to just to shame people, not myself, shame others. And I didn't agree with that. And then we ended up not agreeing on some things. And some people left because of it. And I remember having a conversation, honestly, with Dan, saying like, this is not a fit. Like that was the moment, one of the moments where I'm like, this might not work. But fortunate enough, that he self-selected out and things happen for a reason. And Dan certainly listened to what I was saying. And from there, we've been on just a really nice trajectory to where we're going and the culture and everything. But it hasn't always been easy. That's what I'm here to do. And nothing ever is. So it's, good times and bad times. We have a pretty amazing core here. So yeah, it's infectious.
You have any thoughts on that, Preston? It's like, you talk about culture, but creating a culture is a process, not necessarily by design out of the gate. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, because it's not, I see companies that, advertise, oh, we have a great culture and all the marketing and everything else. And I tell people, culture is not something that you can market. It's something you feel. And it's something that's built from within. Like it doesn't just one day, because you always like hire to your culture. It's hard it's hard to do that. Your company's going to build the culture from within with the right people being there, and and yeah, it's definitely something that you can't use in marketing and everything else for sure.
And also Brian, when people come to you, like you came to Dan with real feedback, because you care about the whole, you care about where we're going and the company versus just individually. As a leader, I've had people come to me, and early on in my leadership, I was like, stop complaining, just get to know them better, just turn the cheek. And then it's like, oh, wait a second, this is valuable information. Brian cares about the culture. He cares about what we're doing, and maybe I need to listen.
Yeah. Something I can tell you that just speaks heavy to me is the fact that I, myself, everyone here, they all feel like they're business partners. So that changes everything. There's nothing that's hidden behind the closed curtain. The curtain's open. Like, we know everything. And knowing that and just being completely unfiltered has really created a special place here in what we have. Like, there's nothing behind closed doors. So everybody feels that way. And something, Preston, that you mentioned that I totally agree with what you're saying. It's not by design. It's also, you need to find these little pieces that can complement the culture. And that's how it just latches on and it just gets to a really cool place. So, and there's still going to be people that don't compliment. It is that you built,
Yeah, and it's also on what you're doing. Like if you're active and you want to be good and you want to be better and you always want to get better, you're going to attract people like that. Like, you're going to attract people with the same energy. Somebody that comes in that doesn't want those things probably is not going to stick around very long, because they're going to think you're weird or whatever. So it's it definitely can grow based on what the activities are and what the things you're doing within the company.
Allows people to lead too. Like, it gives people like a whole nother role. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's it's powering for sure. Powering. Awesome.
How do you feel about, you're the top producer. Have you been the top producer in the last 10 years on the team? More or less top 1 to 2. How do you feel about new agents coming on the team, like over the years, and how do you embrace them and get them on board?
These are really good questions. I love this one because, like, old Brian going back, like, by the way, I've always been here for the most part. But at first I'm like, they're taking my leads. They're getting, like, this is old Brian. And I'm like, there's nothing hold the hell back here. Like,
because you have a different perspective. You're in 10 years on the team.
100%. Like, these people come in and I'm like, okay, great. Now they get this lead. I don't get this lead. Like, okay, old Brian, I have grown so much. I used to be like, just incredibly not hot tempered, but just like, why, like, I'm comparing, contrasting why they get this, why not. They're taking away from me. And then I realized, by just following the people that I surround myself with, mindset of abundance is like the best thing that you could ever do. And it's about the bigger picture, and their success contributes to my success, which contributes to the company's success. It just snowballs from there, because all of a sudden we're now like moving from here to here. We're moving places as a company, and that means more opportunity. And like, there's enough for all of us. And that shifted probably in like year 2, year 3, more year 2. I really saw it. And that's actually when I leaned in heavy in leveraging business and understanding, and not being like, oh, I don't need because I do. I have a showing partner. I have had one for a long time. I built a program, and there's agents say, I'm not giving part of my commission. I'm like, whoa, there's enough. Like, the light bulb went off. It just went off at some point in that year 2. And ever since then, I've just seen my business go like this for that reason. And everybody else is selling around me. So yeah, we've had people come in who are high producers, and I love it because I'm competitive at nature, and I'm also rooting for everybody, but it makes it fun. It makes it fun, and there's just enough for all of us to live big lives. That's the truth. We all do.
So the one thing I want to ask you, and it's probably a question you didn't think to get asked, but as an agent, when y'all brought on EOS, how was that from an agent's perspective, as far as from leadership perspective? Like, what was, because it's crazy. Like, the first time I went to a conference with John was in Vegas at Green Valley. Dan was there. Laura was on stage. I left that conference, went to an EOS conference 2 months later, and we implemented EOS. But as an agent, what did that look like? How was that process?
They were very open book about the whole thing, where we're going, and it gave us metrics. My old office, I used to have like scribbles on walls, like understanding my numbers, all that stuff. What has it done? Here's my business plan. I look at it every day. I have my EOS business plan right here. My personal, this isn't beer hunting. This is Brian Danney. This is Dan.
Yeah.
So what this does for me is they've given me a platform that I can just use as a template and build my own. This is one of the reasons why I'm successful, is because I know exactly what I need to do. I understand my rocks. I understand what's going to move my business in the right direction. What I need to focus on. What needs to be modified in the IDS, right? Like, what do I need to work on? So they've given, and that's the one thing is most agents on teams, or even who you surround yourself, it doesn't have to be teams, but like you have access to all this information and you think one person's doing it, so you don't need to do it. But like when I hear them using something, I'm like, I have my own business with
what is it?
So why not use it? I do these quarterly, and
it's awesome.
Game changer, and such a big part of why I've been able to stay consistent, truly. So yeah, it's awesome.
How can an agent that's listening to this that's not part of EOS, now you can obviously go learn EOS, but what's some principles they can take away to impact their business right now?
So a lot of us have these big audacious goals, these numbers we throw up on a board in January every year, okay? And we have it, and sometimes we're ahead of schedule. In this market, a lot of us are behind schedule. And what I'm saying is take that number and simplify that. Don't overwhelm yourself, because most of us don't take action because we sit and overwhelm. We're like, okay, great. I have to make up 10 sides or 20 sides. And the way I love looking at it is just chunk it down. Okay, take that number, divide it by 4. Okay, great. Those are my quarters. Now, what do I need to do? What do I need to do in my quarter? How do I get, what does that look like monthly? What does that look like weekly? What does that look like daily? And you focus daily and you just hit it. And most people, again, it's that overwhelm. I need to prospect for this. And you do what you do. You do what fits that number and what the goal is. And I'm a big believer in just finding consistency, finding rhythm in your business. So if it's 20 minutes prospecting, 20 minutes role play, 20 minutes video, because these are the 4 things that I focus on: video, setting messaging, and prospecting other agents, which is something I'm big and heavy on. Also, people that I'm trying to convert that are in my follow-up, my prospecting, new business that I do not yet know, training. 20 minutes each versus being distracted, pulled in, lying yourself in your calendar. You find consistency there, it's game over. But it all starts with that big number and how you break that thing down. So EOS or not, you can still break it down. And it doesn't have to be like, I need 1 home sold every month. It's not that. It's, how do I get to that sold home, right? Is it 10 calls a day? Is it 5 answers? Like, okay, great. So I need 25 conversations in a week. I'm going to obsess over 25. I'm not going to sit because if you do that, things just naturally happen. They just do.
Yeah. You got to create the measurables. You can't, a home sold doesn't, what do you have to do? And that's what a lot of agents will do. They'll set these goals and they don't understand what the metrics to get there are. And they're like, how do I come up with the metrics? Well, just do more than what you were doing yesterday. Most people fail with prospecting because they see somebody doing 3 or 4 hours a day. Don't start with 3 or 4 hours. Start with 30 minutes. Start with 20 minutes. You wouldn't run a marathon by running 20 miles tomorrow. You would start with a mile. So start there and just add on it and keep getting better. And that's really like EOS it gives you those metrics so you can actually measure to get better and better and to hit those goals.
Yeah.
What stems from that is burnout. Like most agents that I see and that I coach and that I'm around, surrounded by, they burn out because they're like exhausting so much more energy that they need to. But if you just focused on the 5 conversations a day and just stayed here versus being pulled in so many different directions, it would solve so much. And burnout, you spend so much more time like having anxiety over that burnout and what am I going to do? And do I still want to do this? That time could be spent elsewhere.
There's no limit to how many ideas are available and what you should do and could do. And it's the truly high performers figure out how to find the boundaries and simplify it down to, this is what I'm focusing on. and I'm going to let everything else go. But I bet if I do 20 minutes of calls, 20 minutes of follow-up, 20 minutes of video, 20 minutes of that, I'm going to win over the long haul. Is that what you said? You have like, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Brian Danney's crushing it.
Here's the thing, Nick, I've never been obsessed with what I need to sell volume in a month. It just so happened that I sold 21 million in July. Okay. It just so happened. I have on my wall, it says stop. You know, it's the truth though. Like I just focused on this little stuff. It says stop. Did you send 15 videos? That's my metric. Did I send my 15 videos today? I will not leave my office until I send 15 videos. Like that's the stuff I obsess with. It just like,
and it snowballs.
Yeah.
Always like, what's the analogy with you as a mountaineer climbing a mountain? I mean, I don't know. Are you, so people are probably wondering, they think, okay, I can become Brian if I do this thing he's talking about, 15 videos. So what is that?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in where things have pivoted. I mentioned it a moment ago. But I'm a big believer that we have to start being agents. And I've just learned from others that contribution is one of the biggest things and things I take pride in. I'm always contributing. I'm always putting things out there. No matter whether you're in my world for coaching or not, it doesn't matter. I just want to give back. But what I found was when there's in this market we're in right now, we have little inventory. I got to imagine both your markets, there's very little inventory, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be an agent's agent. And I send 15 videos to agents every day, just saying, you know, hey, Nick, you know, how you doing? Dude, it's been a while since we last connected. What's going on in your world? I was driving by Main Street the other day and I was thinking of you on that deal we closed. There's a way for us to do more business together. Like we have to figure that out. My year would be so much better for it. So let me know what you got going on. Here's what I have going on. I have something coming soon and in the lakes. I'm going to let you know about it. Reach out. Let's connect. I'm just sending the video and I do 15 of those. And what naturally happens is if I do one of those and then I do another one and someone gives me something that they have coming soon, I might not have a buyer for it, but the person I also sent the video to probably has a buyer for that person. I'm just connecting them. And what naturally happens is everyone comes to me to be the resource. Who do you know? Who has this? And like since COVID, it's been like game changer for me and like finding things on the market, off the market, building agent relationships. Most importantly, in a competitive market, writing offers. They see my name come across. They're like, oh, this is an easy deal. I want to work with Brian. I love working. So that's why I do it. And
so it's 15 agents a day.
Oh, it's so good, Preston. It's so good.
That is amazing.
Because Brian is so amazing. And Preston, you got any questions on that? Because
I understand why he's doing it.
I know what he's doing. It works on multiple facets. You know, Brian has multiple pillars, but you're basically the MLS. You're like the connector of all the connectors. You're like, I've seen top producers do this where they're like, I got a buyer. I could look on the MLS like everyone else every single day and find out there's nothing there. And when it is, it's highly competitive. Or I can go to the other players in the market and say, what do you got going? I got this $1 million buyer. This is what they're looking for. Let's put a deal together, right? And there's rules, of course, but you can do it the right way.
Yeah, I do it ethical, like of course. But I always just want to contribute, and I just lead with that with other agents and just giving them information that makes them look like freaking heroes to their clients. I'm all about that because we know what type of industry we're in. So I'm all about that. You know, like it's benefited me in so many different ways with getting, like I said, and it's not just about the off markets. It's about the bigger long-term play.
So do you randomly pull them or do you have a special?
Well, I have an Excel. So here's the thing. I have an Excel sheet with all the agents that I've done business with.
Okay.
I have another tab with everyone that I've written offers for that I've not done one deals with, and I have agents that I've seen that I would love to figure out a way to do it. So ones that I'm not winning with is the one I lean heavy in because I want them to know that I'm someone that we should be collaborating. And in my talk track just changed a little bit. It's just like, listen, I know we didn't win the deal together on Main Street, but we got to find a way to work together because I see what you do and you're crushing it. And I want to make it easy for you. So I promise it'll be a seamless deal. But here's what I got going on. Do you have a buyer? Bring a buyer. What's going on in your world? What do you have coming soon?
Really, is that something you've always done, keeping up with all that information and using it that way or not?
Over the last 3-4 years, yeah, okay. I've been sort of tracking it. It was like really just before COVID. I'm like, I need to find a different way. And that's when I started
How has that changed your perception of who you are in the team? Because a lot of times these big teams, or as they're growing, it's like they're inclusive or they exclude the outside world. It's like a black box.
Hmm.
And sometimes you get haters as you grow. It's like, you feel like you're getting hated on a little bit. Is that with you guys, or?
You don't have any haters doing 21 million in a month, I'm sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that, there's a little bit of that, but like a lot of the team, the one thing that I get in trouble with here on the team is that my door is open. I always want to help everyone on my team, and I don't want to be the just got a minute Brian guy. Like that does happen quite a bit. Like and we do have people in place, and I am running every role play in the mornings because I am passionate about it. I'm at every role play. So that's the opportunity if they want to grab me, and I do mentor some agents on our team, but that's the only thing that it's caused is a little bit overwhelmed when people are always knocking on my door. And I mean, I'm here to sell and I'm here to coach. That's truly where my head's at. So, and I want to give back. So that's the hard thing. I'm always trying to help everyone out. So, saying no has been something that's been tough for me openly. But I know it's funny because I know when to say no to the, with business and like the right deals, the wrong deals, like all that stuff. But when it comes to someone that really wants it, another agent, and like I see they want it, they need help, I have a tough time there. That's a struggle.
So role playing, how do you do that daily?
Yeah, I wish my little spinner was in my office, but I have this thing with all objections on there. I have conversations from, it's anything from like just looking to, I'm working with multiple agents, or how do you present that your offer was not accepted to a buyer? Like situations, right? And we spin and then we land and we go, and then we just work through it. So, and we swap things out. But I also have like a role play every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time that I host for anybody that wants to just jump in. So I do that. That's on Zoom, and everything else is here in the office pretty much. So
do you have scripts that you train for all those or not?
We're all about talk tracks and having different, different ways of getting in. And this is okay. So let's just get right to it.
Yes.
Scripts.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with scripts. In fact, I use them. I like scripts. I love scripts. I just call them talk tracks because they're not long-winded, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages. Memorize. I want to be able to get in the conversation and then be active in the listening part, right? I want to be able to hear what they're saying and not be robotic and not have knee-jerk reactions and not take them down with agenda. And I just want to listen, because what I found in my career, what's helped me personally, and I want to get back, is I can build deep relationships with people if I don't have an agenda. And that's also what I'm doing with the agents. I'm trying to contribute when I'm doing my videos. It's the same sort of mindset. Like I have a way to get in, I have a way to get out, right? Ask for the business, and everything in the middle. It's just, there's techniques that I use, right? Yeah. And I'm just trying to take a step on this ladder. And in between each step, that's when I'm building my rapport. That's how I view it. So, yeah, I mean, we go through this. We have ways we're entering the role play with the conversations, and then the one thing that I'm a big believer in is we need to establish who the person is, who are they, spend some time. That's actually the majority of our time is supposed to be spent. What's their pain? And then we need to bring the right value, because sometimes we think we know their pain and we hit them with a value, and then they're like, I'm not meeting with you. And then they're like, what just happened here? It's because you didn't listen to what was actually really going on with their pain. And that's fine. Go back to their pain, and then try a new way to unlock it with the value you can provide them. And then you can close them with the results. So I go they, pain, value, results. To me, that's my recipe. That's my recipe.
And as far as the prospecting, did you start with expireds when you first got in, or where did you start as far as the prospecting?
Yeah. I did not spend a lot of time in expireds. I spent predominantly my time when I started with Dan, it was San Diego Homefinder.com. It was internet leads.
Okay.
No listings. And I would just get into our database of about 15 And I have like a sheet, which I still have today. And I said, I'm getting my 30 conversations today. I'm not leaving. It's 8 o'clock at night. I want to get the hell home. How do I have my next 5? I would remember I would go to like Carl Strauss and I would like have conversations with 5 people just to check off my boxes. And then I'd go home. I remember this. And like, so I just, all I was calling was internet leads.
Yeah.
Organic internet leads from our site. And then all of a sudden we had all these new lead sources coming in. I'm like, oh my God, this. And it was just like, I was at like Vegas. Like I saw all these lights, you know, I was like, oh my God, there's more stuff. And then we finally got listings and I started to host some open houses, and I'm big on open houses and doing that. And that's actually a lot of my success in July was from open houses. So I'm spread in everything. I'm big in the company business, but I also am now seeing a lot of repeat clients because of everything I put in for so long, with past clients and referrals and all that stuff.
So is buyer seller business about 50-50, or is it
very, very close?
Yeah.
Okay. It's last year was 60-40 listings, and now I'm back at I'm pretty close to about 50-50 right now.
Yeah.
How many of the listings originated from what would be considered a buyer source, a buyer lead, like an open house buyer that has a home?
Back then?
Or now, like home to sell, do they have they buy from you and also sell from you?
Yeah, I mean, if they're buying with me and they need to sell, it's near 1,000, like 1,000. It's 100%. It just is. They want one person running the show, but they trust me. It's because of everything I'm doing that buy side, and I know exactly what I'm saying. But I am learning early that they need to sell, so I'm future pacing that in the entire conversation, which is also helping me win that business. And we don't do that enough, like agents in general. And I realized, I know when I'm not successful, it's because I probably didn't manage and set those expectations by future pacing throughout. And when I am successful, it's always because of that. It's one of the major components of why I'm just letting people know what to expect. And I come in with authority. I come in, sharp and like understanding where they're going to go. I come in with enthusiasm. I'm optimistic, like all that stuff. So, but future pacing is a really, really big part of this business in general, like really big part.
I imagine your open houses, do you use the same talk tracks, who, pain, value, result as they walk in? Is it the same thing on the phone as it is in person?
You know what? I go heavier on my follow-ups than I do when I'm in person because I just want to build rapport. I don't want them to build a wall up in front of me. But the biggest mistake most agents make is getting good contact information when someone walks in the door. So when I get someone in, and I am very prepared. So I just make sure that everything that I'm doing is intentional. Like, here's an example. I will door knock 5, and I keep it simple. This is not overwhelming. 5 to the houses to the right, 5 houses to the left, 5 houses in front, 2 days before the event. I'm inviting the neighbors.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And I know if that neighbor shows up and I'm in the house, and then someone else who does not yet know me sees me talking to a neighbor, then I'm now someone that they need to talk to. So everything, that neighbor's part of my staging. Yes, I want to win their business. Yes, I want to nurture them, but they're part of like this environment that I'm trying to create, which is allowing and highlighting the fact that anyone new that walks in needs to speak to me. So, and I'm loud about it. I'm like, oh, so you live down the street. Like we're talking about the neighborhood. I want to be the neighborhood expert. So I'm finding these little windows of opportunity, by using them to help me showcase that. So, and the same thing goes with my videos. I do my videos like agents that I want to show up, bring their buyer, and I do it like 2 days before we go live. I'm not saying they can get in now. I'm just saying that, hey, I want to see you. I'm going to be there Saturday at 1. So I let them know. They show up. They're hugging it out with me. Brian, it's great to see you. The new person walks in, doesn't know me, sees that I'm somebody that they want to engage with. So I'm using a lot of these different components as part of my staging. So to fast forward when I'm getting their information, I have a sign at my door that just says sellers require everyone to please register. And I just say, did you register? And they say, no, isn't this an open house? And then I'm very detailed. Like I have a sign-in sheet. I fill it out. What's your name? My head goes down. I won't look up. I like awkward silence until they give me a name. And the same thing. Are you 858 or 610 or 619? They give me a number. Head goes down. And then I say, you know, Gmail, or please don't tell me your AOL. I have a little fun with it. And then they give, you know, and then I'm just filling this form out, and I really don't get a lot of pushback. And then I have another text that I set, you know what, I'm going to send you a text right now there, you know, giving you some information you're not going to see in the home. And let me know if you have any questions. And I give them some specs about the home, but I'm sending them a text message that's intentionally there to confirm if it's a good phone number. So if it doesn't, I run to them and I'm like, I'm so sorry, Mary. I think I got the wrong number. Can you please, I want to make sure I'm getting you the tax information. So I have these texts that are, they're just through text replacement on my iPhone that allow me to confirm good information, because I'm going to invest 3 hours in a house, and I'm going to invest a lot of time preparing. I want to make sure I'm going to get real good contact information. It just took 3 hours away from my family, and I don't want that. Like, if I'm there, I'm there. So that's how I do it.
21 million in door knocking. I hope everybody heard that part, right? Don't think he's just riding around talking on his phone. He's actually doing the work and doing the things that we all talk about, you know, like the things that most people won't do. Like most people still won't door knock.
Yeah. And keeping it simple though. I don't even look at it like it's 15. Okay. It's not even, it's just 5 houses over there, 5 houses. It's mindset, then, right? Just 5 houses over here, 5 houses over there, 5 houses in front. That's it.
Yeah.
If you want to go the extra mile, do 50 by all means, but just
that's one of the most tactical, strategic, open steps on an open house I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And also I have a follow-up question on what do you do after the open house with that information, number one. But I also heard some pain, and I've used this in my career. If I'm going to be away from my family for 3 hours, I better do my best work. I better go all in. I better max out, because I don't want to go back to my wife and say, I just sat there on the couch and how'd it go? A couple of people showed up. So can you talk to the pain? How do you use that pain to motivate yourself? And then also, I want to know, what do you do after the appointment? Like with that.
Highlights are both those. So pain's a big thing. Like, I mean, there's weekends where I'm missing Dawn's soccer game. I'm like, oh my God, but you know what? It is what it is. And I'm there. I try to schedule as much as I can around it. Not all the time, but you know, Lauren, she knows to send my wife. She sends me, you know, videos or photos of what the kids are doing. That fuels me. Like, I'm not there. I am here. Like, there's a reason why I'm here. I just surround myself with healthy pain, like healthy. Like, here's one, for example. I told you that in my career, I was bankrupt. I put myself in a situation. Well, commissions that I had lost, I get recouped every now and then from the company that use it with, you know, bankruptcy court, all that stuff. But they give me a check for that every month. And I have this laminated on my desk because I want to look at it and just be like, I'm not getting back to that place. I am not. And it fuels me. And I use this all the time. So I think there's some healthy ways of looking at a little bit of pain and not put yourself back in the same situation. And then there's also things of what is this taking me away from? So I just lean into that stuff. It's, you know, it's important. And I'm very much about squeezing the lemon, going all in. I mean, I mountaineer. I was in Costa Rica for a week and a half. Like, I have fun, but it's also because I just show up and I'm consistent with how I'm doing it. I'm guilty of distraction, and it's because I just simplify. That's my trick. I have the system. I just, fine, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes break, 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here. That's okay. But like right now, I use my iPhone as much as it's an amazing thing for us to use. There's a feature on it called Focus. And that basically minimizes all the noise, the emails, the social media, and I can't be interrupted. And that was a game changer for me too. So I'm going a little bit off topic here, but like, being focused and intentional and purposeful is what it's all about. You just got to look at yourself. And what do I do with my follow-up? I mean, because I'm sending those text messages out to them when I'm verifying the contact information, I now have dialogue with them. So right there and then, before I leave the home, I'll find a nice accent in the home, like accent wall or in the kitchen. I just shoot a video. I'm like, Mary, it was great seeing you. We met at the house over on Main Street. And if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And I look forward to following up with you in the meantime. Or, just something, sending a message in a video. The next day, that's when I go heavy. I am like, one question I forgot to ask you is, was that the right home for you? But the way I ended the conversations, Mary, it was such a pleasure meeting you over on Main Street, and we didn't have a chance to finish the conversation. Was that the right home for you? That's my track. That's what I use. Then I go from there. I figure out where I'm going. Most people are like, the seller is asking for feedback on the, no, why would that person care what the seller wants? I don't understand. I've never mean. So my Monday is just, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the 20 people that I've now given permission to follow up with. That's who I follow up with for the week. And I go hard. I go 5. I have a thing where I'm just going 5. I call it a 5 blitz. It's a 5-day blitz where I'm going 5 touches a day until I hear from them. And if not, then okay. But then I know I gave it everything I could. And then I'm never just doing another open house the following weekend, right? Because I need to prepare for the one that's in a week. So then I can recycle. And I'm not just jumping around because I want to make my calls the week prior. That's my obsession then. I recycle it, right? So the week prior is my obsession calling agents, calling, door knocking. It's calling my database of buyers that come in my world, letting them know I'm going to be at a house. You're not going to see it yet on the market, but God, love to see you there. We're scheduling showings on Saturday. That's my obsession. Then the open house, and then the people I actually have in my world. And then I repeat, and it's bi-weekly. So
Preston, I see you taking notes, and so you have a question for Brian. But before you ask this question, Preston, for those that didn't see it and are watching this, Brian held up a check with $1.03 on it.
Yeah, $1.03.
$1.03. I mean, it cost them more to cut the check than it is the check was worth.
This check it's fueled me to so much more. It just truly has. So I look at that and I laugh every time, but it also reminds me. So I like it. It's a memory.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was actually taking notes on it right now.
Yeah. I mean, everyone should be rewind it the last.
Yeah. 100%. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, same thing. Focus. I use that on my computer. Like you turn it on your computer, it automatically goes to your phone because even, when you're prospecting or whatever, you got to block everything out. So if you do that if you're using a Mac, you push focus, it automatically does your phone at the same time as well.
Yeah, we're guilty of it, right? All the fires that need to be put out at 9 a.m. Those fires, they're really fires. Like, I want to just stop that noise. I'll handle it after. Nothing's burning down. And whether we have leverage or we don't have leverage, we still consume ourselves with things and anxieties and things that is just going to distract us from doing what we need to do to build the lifeline to our pipeline. So I just don't get it. We need to, just dedicate. That's why I chunk it down too. 10-minute break. Great. I'll deal with it for a moment if I choose. I'll go downstairs and get a coffee, come back up and do it again for another 20 minutes. Just stop overwhelming yourself.
So what is that in the morning is that 9 to 12 or what is that time you spend?
Yeah. So my day I start coaching. I'm typically in the office around 6:30 in the morning, and I'm doing my coaching, and I have a hard stop at 8. That's my prospecting. In fact, if you looked at my calendar, it would say prospecting dial session sacred, do not book over. I will not, that's mine. It's so sacred to me. And then I jump into a daily huddle with our team for about 15 minutes, if that. And then we have our role play for the exception of Fridays. And then that's flip flop. And then right now, I'm with you guys. I should be doing follow up. Here's my rule. If it happens twice, I've created a new bad habit and I don't want to create a bad habit. So I'll let it happen once and that's okay. I'm human. But if it happens twice, then shame on me. I got to figure something out. So that's how I deal with it. But I'm typically after my role play, I'm in my follow-up, then I'm in my videos, and then I do a social media, some content I put out there. And then from there, this is the beautiful part. I do all that, and then 12 o'clock hits. Now I can go to my listing appointments. Now I can go to my buyer consultations. Now I can go to my inspections. Now I can go to Dylan's hockey practice. My afternoon, I can do whatever the hell I want because I just dominated my 4 hours. That's also why I avoid burnout, because I just give myself this sacred time and then I can still play in the afternoon if I so choose. But routines are a big part of that too, because I mean, routines for me, I mean, I have my routine in the morning. I put the silliest crap on my calendar, like brushing teeth and eating breakfast and all. I do it intentional because I want to start my day with checks in my boxes. So if I'm like, I already did this, I already did this, I already did this, then I already feel like I got momentum in the day. I'm already feeling confident. So I intentionally like that. And then with the evening routines, something that I think is really incredibly important is you got to revisit the day, see what worked, what didn't work. You got to unwind, and you got to look at what tomorrow brings. And you got to start seeing how, road mapping the conversations. When people prospect in the morning, the following day, they're like, okay, what am I going to prospect today? No, I figured out the night before so I can hit the ground running. Like, what am I going to get into? Is it open house? Is it old leads? Is it whatever it is? Like, I figured that out the night before.
Yeah. And you see a lot of people, they don't, whether it's week or day, they have no idea what they're doing until they start their day tomorrow. We see it all the time. I'm sure coaching calls you have like, oh, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? I don't know. I'll figure it out when tomorrow starts.
Well, after the team meeting and it's 10 o'clock and the day's running them up, it's running away from them. And they lose that focus. I also, Brian, what I've learned from this is how do you get the most out of the time you're spending? And it's not doing more things, it's like doing the one thing really, really well, like squeezing that lemon, like you said, getting the most out of that. And when that happens, that gives you your Monday. So you had a really good open house. Now you know exactly what you're doing on Monday. It's not guesswork. You got a plan, right? And that leads into the next momentum and winning and contacts.
Yeah, it gives me purpose when I do open houses because now I know my purposes for the week. And now I like it. Just that you hit it on the head. That's exactly what it is. And I never thought about it that way, but it's truly what it is. And like that's I take on that identity for the week. Like that's just what I'm doing. And like people here see me, like I never go in. I always go into things prepared because I know there's so much opportunity out of everything that we do. I'm strategic with how I get all the just the neighbors. Like the neighbors of the open house or like, but doesn't mean I'm going to ignore them. Like I'm using that to lift the experience, and that's really how I just I have that lens for everything that I'm doing, in the sense that do good, and I try not to have an agenda. It turned out that way that's how it's allowing me to get in more conversation, but I don't, I just I stay focused. That's truly what I mean, it's very outlined, but also going back to my VTO, my business plan, I know my metrics for the quarter. I know what I'm focusing on, and I'm tracking that. Even you can kind of see it on my board up here. I have like a board right over here for those of you on the visual, but those are right there, the sticky notes. Those are all my hot prospects. Those are the people in my pipeline. Yes, they're in my CRM, of course, but I want them to be visible in front of me. They're not 100, by the way. There's 3 rows of 4.
3 rows of 4. This guy sells 21 million in a month.
You know what? I don't understand, and like I do understand because I came from the space, but like more leads. Let's just throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. And I'm not saying you need this amount and this amount only. Here's what I know, and here's how I measure. If I am not going deep enough with one person, if I don't know where their kids go to school, if I don't know their next vacation, why they can't see a home, if I don't go deep enough with them, then I'm at my limit. And if I am deep enough and I do have the right conversations, then I'm good to take one more on. That's how I view it. That's my metric. So I never put like a number on it. I just know how deep I can go with somebody.
Nick, got anything else?
Well, I was having conversations. We all coach, right? And through Reside, through Chef Black Digital, through Agent Academy, we're all coaching, right? And you just reminded me, the coaching calls I had with top team leaders last week about leads and lead conversion, they said the same thing. We're not going deep enough. Our conversations are not going deep enough. We're not asking more questions. They're too short. And that kind of a byproduct of COVID and, the fast pace, shooting fish in a barrel, but we're going back to this deep relationship. And so that's just a good reminder, Brian.
Yeah.
You don't need thousands of leads.
No. And like, Chris Snow, we had a conversation with him, and I bring him up because I had a conversation with him this morning But, in this business, we always want to do the quick thing. We want the action plan everybody's using. We want to send the same bullshit out instead of like, what do the consumers really need from us? Instead of some email, hey, I saw you on our website a couple of days ago. Those are the things to think about, that like what we're actually really sending them. Is it of value? Is it just something we got from somebody that says, hey, they're having, they're doing really good with this thing. If you think about that too, like when you're generating leads, how can you have better conversations? Send something of value instead of just something that's, hey, is triggered by a behavioral trigger on your website. And that's, thinking about that, like why Chris Snow, he sent me a message. He converted like 3 pay-per-click leads in a week, 2.5 million, because he's sending something of value, and it's not some templated email that just goes out. Like every time they send something, it actually is of value, because he's trying to build that relationship. Same thing like Brian, you're talking about. I mean, build the relationship, and what you give them for free is what you're going to be measured on.
Yeah.
If you're sending them bullshit, you're going to be measured on bullshit. If you're sending them something of value, you're like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. This lady knows what she's talking about. I want to speak to her more. I want to talk to her more.
I completely agree. And I'm sorry, Nick, if I cut you off there.
No, go for it.
I'm like passionate about is like these pattern interrupts. So like they're expecting a phone call. I'm going to hit them with a video. Then I'm going to send them good and useful information. But something that I've learned in these relationships is whenever I hear somebody needs something, or they need a resource, I want to be the person who's always going to offer them that connection. So like if someone's homeowner, for example, they say that, I overhear they need a plumber. I want to be the person I always come to for a plumber. I want to just be the resourceful person. So it doesn't mean they're selling tomorrow. That's the way I always try to pitch it. If I hear someone that I'm working with who's a buyer and says that they're just looking to get their things together, do you need a CPA? I have a great, like I'm just paying it forward. And that has allowed me to have a faucet that does not turn off with referrals because of that, because they're always just coming to me. Similar with those videos, right? Those videos with those agents. It's just the same
thing. I love talking to someone that's at the top of their game and growing. And you're not even hitting your peak yet, Brian. I could tell you're on a trajectory towards mastery, because it's a complete feeling. It's like intuition. You have this intuition because you have the reps. But also, I want to talk about these conversations real quick. Preston and talking about Chris and Brian, when you're having these deep conversations about their pain and getting to know them, pain changes. Marketplace to marketplace, pain changes. And you get this the intuition. You're feeding your intuition, where you're seeing patterns that are happening in real time in your marketplace. What's really happening? What are the conversations these buyers and sellers are really having? And what value can I add to give them the result that they need to solve that pain? Because it's different now. It changes. Right now we have high interest rates, people stuck with low mortgages. They rushed into homes that they didn't want, and now they're feeling stuck. They're wanting to leave, but they're feeling loss aversion. Whatever it is, like you're having these conversations that are going to tie into the next. Can you talk to that, Brian? Like you start getting a pattern and a feel for like happening?
Yeah. As far as the marketer, with regards to their mindset and
their mindset, like you get a better feeling of what's going on. And to Preston's point, you can't just use a automation drip from 5 years ago. It's not the same.
When someone gives me something that I feel I can lean forward with a pain, I'm not just letting it be. And most agents won't go there. They don't feel like they have permission. But if they mentioned it, I find that I have permission to go there. So I just try to de-layer it. The one rule I have when I'm in a call is, here's how I won. It's not who spoke more, who spoke less. Did I get all my questions answered? Was I left in the conversation with more questions, or or did I have a good understanding? Like, because sometimes the questions that are left are the reason why I didn't close it, or the reason why there wasn't enough value is because, they gave me this pain, but really there's something else there. Here's what it is. I don't want to be assumptive. I want to confirm the assumption. So often we have these assumptions and we don't ask, and you think someone feels a certain way, but you got to get them to internalize and you got to get them to say it. And then once they do, then you can really go for value, because now you've earned permission to do that. You haven't before. Now they really understand it. Something that's been working well for me, especially in person, is I'm a big believer in like napkin conversations. And what I mean by that is I'll grab a napkin, and when I'm with someone and they give me a reason why they're not doing it, they're waiting for the market to, I'll just grab a napkin. I'll get into a drawing, and I have about like 12 of them. And one of them I have is for, what happens when, where we are in the cycle. You want lowest rates? Where do you think we are? Here's a U. I draw a line. Where are we? Here's a buyer's market. Here's a seller's market. I'm very visual. Where do you think we are? Great. What happens in a buyer's market? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Like you got more leverage. What happens in the seller's market? Oh, multiple offers. Great. Where do you think we are? We're right towards the bottom. What do you think happens if you continue to write offers and you don't get them accepted, or you wait? Will you be higher on the seller cycle? It's like basic stuff, but I just draw it. I draw stick figures. People internalize with those visuals and can digest it a little bit easier. But that's something that I've been doing that's been working really well.
That's a napkin conversation. So you're having a conversation, you pull out a piece of paper and you just kind of talk about it and draw it out.
I make it very like, oh, I have a great idea. It's always a great idea. But I have a great idea. You know what? Do you mind if I show you something? Let me grab this napkin. Get the pen.
They never said no.
They never say no. Over a coffee in the consultation, I'll draw it on the back of an agreement. It doesn't matter. But I just make it really authentic. And for them, they feel like you're talking directly with them, not at them, but with them. It's a conversation. They're engaging. They're volunteering what information they've learned. And they don't understand, but I'm actually giving them a new perspective. And I'm not really challenging. I'm just giving them a new lens to look through. And they come up like, oh yeah, like, because visuals work and not everybody can read graphs. So it's a really simple way to do it with people. And that's just one of many that I use. So.
Well, Preston, any final questions for this amazing conversation with Brian?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's been amazing for sure. So
yeah,
a lot of notes to take for everybody that watches this.
It's definitely something I'm going to be sharing with my agents and the people that we coach, Brian. So it's been a pleasure. How do people find you, reach out, get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Sales Coach Brian. Put a lot of content out there. So if it's something you want to just, jump into, I typically throw a video, stay consistent with it. Throw a video of something new every day, some challenge that I heard or something that I'm personally doing. So about a minute 30 second tip and trick. If you guys are also looking to learn more about anything I'm doing on the business side or coaching or anything like that, anytime. But I appreciate you both for having me. It was a lot of fun.
That's super fun. And if you like this episode, there's more coming. We have tons of guests. Preston just interviewed a special guest before this one. John Sheplike interviewed another one of our cool friends that really, really smart, insightful people. So like, comment, subscribe to the Reside Platform Podcast and share it with somebody you think will be helpful.